We're coming to you from McCaw Hall, which is the home of the Pacific Northwest Ballet. And as you look around, this entire space is decked to the nines, so beautiful, just for the Nutcracker, which, by the way, runs through December 27th. And joining me now is the woman who oversees all the dazzling costumes in this production, Meleta Buckstaff. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
These costumes on stage almost are a character of themselves. They move around so beautifully. How many costumes are in the Nutcracker?
Well, there's 156 roles per show, so there's 156 costumes out on stage every show.
My goodness. So nearly everything here that we're seeing was created by hand. You weren't ordering these costumes. You weren't ordering even the fabrics, right?
Yeah, our costume shop team and costume makers all over Seattle actually built all of our costumes by hand. And this one is actually a great example of the design work that Ian Falconer did. He had this very specific graphic design that he wanted,
right.
But you can't just buy fabric that's exactly this pattern.
Right.
So what they did was they cut each of these shapes. A local company laser cut all of these shapes, and then someone stitched every single one
Hand stitched?
on. They used a machine, but it was one by one, every shape got stitched on, and then it was made into a dress.
Y'all, if you could see, I'm looking at this with the naked eye. I mean, it's amazing. It is so beautiful. And then, of course, underneath it, too, is the little bit of shimmer that sparkles so beautifully on stage. This one was one of my favorite dances, the candy cane, where they're jumping through the candy cane hoop. It's so cool.
It's really
so
fun.
it's you have to be able to move in it. But the thing that was amazing to me is I thought this was just a pattern, but no.
No, it was a specific design that Ian came up with. He really was amazing with colors and patterns. And you can't just buy a fabric like this. So it's strips of stretch velvet that were cut individually and then stitched on. So somebody spent time to stitch all of those lines on so that it would go in a diagonal around the body.
I mean, there's geometry involved in that.
Yeah.
Did someone get a protractor out? Because that's insane.
Yeah.
Wow, and it's so rich looking. The fact that you can tell from the audience far back how rich these costumes are, how beautiful and full of life they really are and bring to the stage.
Yeah.
These bold colors and unique prints is something very, it's now kind of part of the show. After the redesign, it's something that is very special to Seattle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's particular to our production. We have really great colors and pattern work that team did on all of our costumes.
It's so great.
Like Mother Ginger, Harlequin, and Columbine.
Okay,
and
talk
all
about
of
Mother
these
Ginger
are
for a second,
fabulous.
because we have some video of her I think we're going to show, but if you don't know, Mother Ginger comes out and all the children come out of her skirt, and I asked her, I go, how does that work? So give us kind of a rundown of how it happens.
Well, it's quite a process. So it's a male company dancer who does that role. There are several, and they spend a fair amount of time in the wig and makeup room getting prepared, and then there's a top half of the costume, a bodice that they put on, and then the skirt itself is a metal welded frame that has its own crane backstage.
It has its own crane.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And the dancers wear stilts that are decided how high based on their height, so that the skirt is exactly at the right height for the stage, so that it doesn't drag on the ground or
because there's no wheels on
much.
it. The actual dancer is helping to move it along.
Yep, the dancer's wearing it. There's a harness that they can walk into the skirt, and then there's wardrobe and props crew who clip them into it, and they have this big giant skirt that's just suspended from them.
I'm assuming that's the hardest costume to get on and off then out of all of them.
Yeah, it's definitely the most complicated.
So I know that you do a lot of mending of these costumes because they go through so many shows every year. But I want to ask you about the ballet slippers. I understand those have a short life.
They do. For a dancer who is point shoes, like this costume, they would be wearing point shoes with them.
Sugar Plum Fairy on point.
It depends on the dancer and the role, but it can be as many as one pair per show. Over the course of a whole season, a average number of shoes that a dancer might go through would be about 80.
Wow.
And
because it's on satin, right? And you're doing, there is a moment in this show, you all, where the Sugar Plum Fairy is in this position and just being dragged kind of by her partner. It's crazy. It's a crazy moment. So I understand now about having to replace the slippers very often. Before I let you go, I have to ask, what is your favorite costume?
It's kind of like asking to
Pick your favorite
pick
kid?
a favorite child.
How about it's the flowers like me?
I do love the flower costumes. Their movement is really beautiful. They were very well engineered by the draper who made them, and the colors are just so bright
Phenomenal.
and vibrant and fun, and I love watching that scene.
It has been so fun talking to you, Meleta. Thank you for sharing all this and bringing out these costumes for us to see. Knowing what has gone into them really makes the experience so much more full and enjoyable. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
This is really, really exciting.